thank you all for having me here. It's really an incredible pleasure, privilege, and honor to talk about FND to future doctors who are going to be dealing with some of these conditions. My name is Nick Manley. I had FND I was diagnosed in 2015, but symptoms started happening around 2009. I'm a para-alpine athlete. I've accomplished all 5 disciplines: slalom, giant slalom, super combined, downhill, and super G. Very proud of those. I've also guided in 3 of those disciplines out of the 5 for upcoming VI impaired athletes, which was an incredible part of my life. And if it wasn't for skiing, I don't think I would be here today. I can really truly say that. Or true. What is functional neurological disorder? It's a problem with the way the brain sends and receives signals to the body. It has to do a lot with the temporal parietal junction and the inlet and the outlet of the temporal parietal junction, which affects your visual cortex, your cerebellum, 5 different parts of your brain. FND is as debilitating as any other neuro diseases. You feel like you might have ALS. It's a combination of symptoms of MS, dystonia, and Parkinson's. Every demographic is affected. There are young kids, teenagers, myself who acquired this in my elder years, and men and women. So there's not anybody that it doesn't really concern in this world, which is pretty amazing. Internationally wise, Australia, Netherlands, Scotland, UK, Canada, all have come on board with fndhope.org within this last year. And it's, when I communicate with people all over the world, I've had 2 people contact me and got them into para sports in different countries, which for me is a gold medal. The diagnosis is usually made by a neurologist. When I saw my neurologist when I first became ill, I was told that it would probably take 8 years to get a diagnosis. It took 6.5. So living undiagnosed with something that you don't know what it is, the doctors don't know what it is, put that in your mind. How would you feel? What would you do? Where would you go? My daily dilemmas. What works today? How much strength do I have? Can I feel my feet? Are my eyes working? And can I walk or exercise? Pretty basic functions for a normal human being, right? How many of you have to think of those processes before you even do anything in the morning or do anything throughout your day? Probably nothing, because it comes automatic. Every day I have to teach my body automaticity and to be automatic because of the way that the brain receives and sends signals. My muscles are always vibrating, like Grandpa's reclining chair. You know, you put it on buzz and that feels good. Well, 8 years? No, I'm ready to get rid of that. The hypersensitivity to light and noise is overwhelming. Being a VI skier guide, and being a skier, para-alpine skier, some days when my vision just went white in the middle of the courses, I still had to ski the course, I had to finish the course, or I had to blow out the course. But I always tried to finish the course. You know, it was always that last gate that I didn't get, or missed the delay because it wasn't double flagged, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that was always into that part of skiing also. So even though I ski raced, I had to deal with the same issues I was dealing with as a getting up and trying to plunge. The weakness, unbalanced feelings, and sometimes falling. There are days where I fell 20 times during the day. There are days where I've just collapsed and not been able to stand up again. A lot of those days go wax and wane. A lot of those days are with extreme heat, or when my body gets to a certain temperature. Even working out or exercising, I have to control my body heat and how it exhausts itself, because the heat makes my body fall apart and it disintegrates me, basically. Getting to the kryptonite feeling throughout my body. The days that the baseline basically goes to 0 again, I'm kryptonited. You know, you might as well just, like Superman, but you know, they did to him, putting in a kryptonite coffin or kryptonite around, and that's what my body is. I move it, it doesn't move. I process all the stuff, nothing happens. I walk, it feels like I've got 2,000 pounds on me. I try to swim, I just sink to the bottom of the pool. Those days aren't fun, but I still get up, and I still try to do something positive with that day. The ability to focus and control the anxiety levels are amazing. There's not a moment during the day there's not anxiety with what I have. But if I block it out by staying busy and finding something to offset that, then I'm usually pretty good. And I have different processes now that I'm not able to ski as much with what's going on with my body. Getting a diagnosis. Test after test after test after test. EMGs, getting electrocuted, getting spinal taps, 2 or 3 spinal taps. Blood work. My blood work was showing positive protein levels that were outrageously high. But yet they said there was no biological reason for me being sick. My CRP rate was over 100. My white count was over 23,000. But there was no biological reason for me to feel the way that I was. I had hypothyroidism, undiagnosed for 2 years, which enhanced the epidemic. Just recently, and throughout the years, just recently I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis throughout every section of my cervical spine. So every vertebrae has a tail and a hook on it going down. But there's no biological reason for it. It's in my head. So I'm labeled as a bad patient. No one wants to take care of me. No one wants to really be proactive and listen to me in what I'm doing and trying to do with myself. Except for me. And my family sees me do this. had visual impairments all my life. When I was a year old, I had pretty thick glasses. Just recently, I had 4 eye surgeries. So I had cataracts in both eyes, and I was guiding VI skiers for the last 2 years. So I was blind leading the blind. So accomplishing that with that problem was pretty big for me. I wanted to go further, and I still want to go further in para-alpine, but I don't know if my body can allow it. So I'm at a pivot. Epilepsy and blood disorder in my teen years. At 17, I was diagnosed with epilepsy and a virus in my blood, and my spleen was swollen to the point where I had to quit all football, all my sports. If I would have had any contact in my gut, I would have been, my spleen would have ruptured and I would have died. I had a spinal injury in my late 20s. I was paralyzed at 30, or paralysis, depending on your definition of that. Crawling around or in a wheelchair at 30 years old. Watching my father die. Was at the same time both of us were in the hospital. Quite intriguing and quite difficult to get through. But I did, because we have a lot of strength in our family. My left side collapsing suddenly, my arms not working, ringing ears in my constant, ringing ears constantly changing in my ears, excessive migraines, basal ganglia, brainstem headaches, temporal headaches, ocular headaches, ice picks going through my brain type things, and then my body doing something strange after that. Learning how to function on a daily basis is really hard. I'm glad my family is strong. At times they were very weak with this, that I wouldn't have been able to do what I did if I didn't have my family. And I'm still showing them to keep on going no matter what in their life. My oldest son did 4 tours, 3 in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan, 101st Airborne Air Assault, and 10th Mountain Division. He's run over IEDs, he's had RPGs shot at him. He's my hero. My other 2 kids are great. I love them. And my 5 grandkids, same thing. You know, I'll do anything for them. And teaching myself how to meditate. That's a big thing. If it wasn't for meditation, I couldn't get through the day. Not being able to be employed and depending on others, I hate that. I really hate that. There's just no way I can hold down a normal job. And that's not the way I was made. It's not the way I feel. It's not the way I think. But it is what I have to do. Strain on family members with that situation is really tough. My wife's a school teacher. We had 2 kids transitioning into college. Plus my son was overseas. So you can imagine the everyday strains that we have. Plus me just trying to keep an even keel and do something productive for my family. When you can't do anything productive for your family, and you've been doing it for 20, 30 years, it's quite devastating. So you find a way to have fun. And that's what I did. I found a avenue to have fun, skiing. I've been skiing 50-some years of my life.
Thank you.
My dad taught me when I was 10. I'll never take that away out of my life. No matter how bad my body is, I'll go up and ski. The thrill of going 60 miles an hour on a downhill course with what I have, it's like driving a Ferrari 200. And I'm doing it with my body. So I use sports to retrain my body and my brain. The National Sports Center for the Disabled is a big key with this. When I was your age, I used to teach young kids who had cognitive problems, who were visually impaired, quite a few areas of disability with youngsters. And I called them up and I said, I got a walker and a cane. I need to do something for my head, I need to do something for my heart, and I need to get back on the mountain. The mountains, besides my faith, has been my savior. That day on the mountain is the day in heaven for me. So then I got invited by Eric Peterson with a letter, and didn't even know it was coming, one summer day, and he said, look honey, I got invited to go ski race. Well, you can't do that. You don't have any equipment. You can barely ski now. But I got invited to do it. I had nothing. One of my good friends in Winter Park, his name is Jacques Thomas. I told him, walked into his shop, he goes, what the heck happened to you? I said, I don't know, they don't know. Can you get me set up with some ski boots? Well, so I brought my Reichley Flex-On comps, which were at that time 27-year-old boots. He goes, he's got this French accent, he's talking, you know. So he goes, come over to lunch with me next week. I've got a guy from Del Bello Boots coming. So I met a gentleman, Scott Russo from Del Bello Boots, and that started my ski career. I got boots, I got skis from Vocal. I branded myself before I even was a racer, which was a pretty big feat in Paris. Meditation and visualization for performance and functioning. Boy, that's big in skiing. Memorizing courses, the discipline of getting up 5:30 in the morning, getting to the mountain, getting your boots on, getting on the lift before sunrise, getting on the hill before everybody's out there, going up, hitting it at 60 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, whatever the discipline is. Unreal. Never giving up the journey. The hero's journey. Can you all see that? It's a picture of what a person thinks a normal brain does, and then what an athlete's brain does. You know, and somebody who really takes it beyond what it is. You know, normal brain goes up and they'll just take it, oh, this is okay, and then mediocre, fine, I'll just do it that way. The other guy takes it down and goes, reevaluates himself. Ski racing, we had to reevaluate ourselves every day. You were good that day, you were bad that day, you're mediocre that day, the snow conditions, the wax conditions on your skis, the personality you have, the personality of your teammates. There's a lot that goes into it. Amazing amount. So trying to decipher all that out and reevaluate it for yourself to become that better person and become that better athlete is amazing. The more you observe and be quiet, the better you are. This is a doctor that I saw in Louisville, Kentucky. Dr. Catherine LaFavor, and she writes an article, Mysterious Condition Even Doctors Don't Understand. She's one of the leading FND specialists in the country, but yet she wrote this article. Tells you a lot about the condition and the misunderstanding of the article. I was laughed at by a doctor at one of the medical facilities here in Colorado because I asked him if I had MS, ALS, or MD, and why I was walking the way I was, and why the hands weren't working, why my arms weren't working, why my legs weren't working, why my feet were the way they were. And he goes, because you ski, you don't have any of these. Quote, unquote. A year and a half later, went to the same facility to see another neurologist. She goes, why do you walk the way you do? How come your arms don't work? And you're wasting my time. Why are you even here? Ski racing took that bad voodoo away from me. I use it as good. You can make excuses or you can make progress, but you cannot make both. Which one are you going to do today? That sign's in Park City. It's in the workout facility at the National Ability Center. And it reminds the athletes there what are they going to do when they go warm up in the morning before they get up or before they go on the mountain. They see that. That's my daily mantra. But what do you do when you can't do anything? What do you do when your body can't move? And it lasts for weeks or months. You still have to live, right? You still have to wake up. You still have to acknowledge life around you. You still have to survive. So finding my happy place. Every day. The mountain, skiing, nature. Now I've done a lot of artwork the last few weeks.
I love the whale.
You love the whale?
Oh, how are you now?
My family and my friends, you know, my friends understand more about me than the doctors do, you know, in what I have. My family's been overwhelming and supporting me, you know, from all ends. And then my badge of strength and courage is never give up. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I don't want to have an apparatus. I know that's going to be possible one day, especially with all the details in my spine. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to say, here you go, and turn into roadkill. I'll let the ski slope do that. So again, my presentation today, Retrain the Brain, Fighting the Fight of My Life, Functional Neurological Disorder. I hope you enjoyed it. I really did. And I want to thank you so much for your time and future as a doctor in your field. To me, that's a gold medal for me to see you, to speak in front of you guys who are going to be able to do something about this in this world today. Because my goal when I first got sick was not to let anybody get treated like I was and how I was and what I had to go through and how much money I've had to spend. Thank you.
report that you wrote on the board for us?
Yes. This was tweeted by Michaela Schifrin a couple days ago. Be more concerned with your character than your reputation. Your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think you are. And that's in the athlete's world, really specifically.